Good afternoon. Thank you all for coming, and I apologize for some of the time miscommunication, but we needed to get a few things in order before we could go forward. This was a tough one. And I don't think just myself, but there's a lot of people in this building with a heavy heart. Sad that we've got a 4-year-old twin sister, or a 5-year-old twin sister, and a 4-year-old little sister of Kenneth White that'll never see their brother again. At the same time, angry that we had a 5-year-old taken from us, a senseless death, and quite honestly, basically thrown away like a piece of trash. And it's sinful and it's sad. Before I go through the case, I want to make a point of thanking the media for your patience, and also your assistance. The Amber Alert did exactly what it was supposed to do: generate leads. 80 to 100 leads came in as a result of the Amber Alert. Your broadcasting did exactly what we were hoping for, and as much attention as possible drawn to this case in hopes of bringing Kenneth White back alive. I also want to make a special thanks to the state police, FBI Albany. Andy Vale is here with us. State police are represented by John Camp and Ed Baskerville, and U.S. Marshal Service, and certainly our district attorney, who you will also hear from shortly. We didn't even have to call for help. They just came, and they came in force, unlimited resources, and again in an attempt to bring back Kenneth White alive, and that obviously was our goal. The case, yesterday, approximately 1:10 p.m., we received a 911 call from an individual stating that 2 individuals forcibly entered their trailer and held the caller down while the other intruder grabbed 5-year-old Kenneth White, and then they quickly fled the residence, headed in a direction towards Thatcher Park. And at that point, the investigation commenced. Our deputies arrived and start doing interviews. Realized there's 2 other individuals, 2 young individuals in the house, which were Kenneth's twin and younger sister. Priority is secure the scene and get the kids safe to a safe haven. We brought them down here to the station, and the investigation began. While throughout the course of the investigation, as a result of several interviews, obviously things did not start to add up. And after a canvass of the neighborhood and securing a search warrant to go back into the residence, one of our K-9 officers let his dog out of the vehicle. The dog grabbed the scent, started pulling strongly in a direction. He put the dog back in the vehicle, went over and checked the area, and the body of Kenneth White was located. He was located on the opposite side of the street from 994 Thatcher Park Road, in, I guess, what would be described as a culvert, where he was covered in snow, intentionally covered in snow. As a result of that, we have arrested 19-year-old Tiffany Van Alstyne, who resides in that residence. She has been charged with murder in the 2nd degree. She's being arraigned as we sit here now, and I'm sure she'll be remanded to the Albany County Jail. The biological parents obviously have been interviewed. As reported, one lives in Massachusetts, one lives in Amsterdam. The three children lived in 994. The legal guardians were Brenda Van Alstyne and Ken Van Alstyne. The investigation is not over yet. We still have some leads to follow up on. I am deeply concerned for the other 2 siblings, and we will continue to follow that up. At this time, I'd like to introduce our district attorney, David Soares.
Thank you, Sheriff Apple. And I'd like to echo Sheriff Apple's remarks and first and foremost thanking members of the FBI, the personnel of the New York State Police, as well as the U.S. Marshals, and specifically the Sheriff's Department, and along with you, the media, who were quick to respond to the call yesterday. And I think that everyone who had received this alert in the afternoon had committed and prayed to find this child alive. Unfortunately, that was not the case, and thus begins a new journey for us, that being the prosecution of this case. As we speak, there is an arraignment taking place. I would like to remind everyone that there is a presumption of innocence here. It is the burden of the people to hold accountable Ms. Van Alstyne, and that is something that we shall do. She is charged with A1 felony murder in the second degree, intentional murder. The evidence gathered, I believe, by the representatives of the agencies that I just spoke of will assist in putting together a very strong case, a case that we believe moving forward we will be successful with. And that's all I have to say. Thank you for your cooperation. And tonight is the kind of night, and the next couple of days are the kind of days that we shall all hold our children and our family members just a little bit closer. I would encourage everyone to do that. Thank you.
Before we take any questions, I also want to thank the community. We've had an outpouring of support from the Burn Knox Westerlo School, as well as several residents. People have called for donations. They've called to offer donations towards funeral services, burial plots. The touching part of this is tomorrow we'll have roughly 248 kids, about 50 feet down the hall, for a Christmas party for all the kids in the hill towns. And Kenneth and his two sisters were part of that party. Questions?
Can you comment on the motive at all behind this?
No, I cannot. I cannot at this time.
Sheriff, can you tell, what was the manner in which the child was killed?
Asphyxia due to strangulation.
Do you know why she selected that child when there were 3 young children in the house?
No, I do not.
Was this part of any larger history of abuse at the home?
At this time, we're still investigating. The elements of this case that we're still investigating, unfortunately, will not be able to disclose in the infancy stages here.
Sheriff, given the bizarre nature of the original story that Ms. Van Alstyne gave, why were you so quick to believe that story, that 2 masked men entered her home?
Well, you want to run 2 parallel investigations, all right? You always wonder if something else went on. So you got to start your investigation there, but you also have to get that information out. We had no reason to disprove that theory or disbelieve that theory. We had a vehicle. They had a 15-minute head start on us. The Amber Alert did exactly what it was supposed to do. I'm very grateful, and that's a great tool. And I've heard some people going, well, really, it didn't seem to be useful. No, it was useful, and it did exactly what it was supposed to do. That has a 100% recovery rate in an abduction. This was not an abduction.
At what point did you believe that the story began to unfold?
During the course of the interview, we were starting to come up with some contradicting statements. We'll leave it at that.
Sheriff, do you expect there to be other charges in this case? Family members told us that she had some history of mental health issues. Maybe there's a question whether or not she should have been left with those children in the first place.
I'm not aware of that at all.
Can you confirm that Kenneth Van Alstyne was arrested about 7 years ago for raping an underage girl?
No, I can't confirm that. I'm not aware of that.
Does anything you know about this case so far indicate to you that any defense attorney might pursue a defense of not guilty by reason of mental disease or defect?
Not at all.
Any comment as to why the children were not, why the biological parents, they weren't staying with the biological parents, but instead the aunt?
I would love to comment on that, but I think it would be inappropriate for me to do so.
Will those children be going back to that home this evening, or will they be with other families?
Not if I can help it.
Sheriff, did the defendant confess to this crime?
I'd rather not answer that. I don't really think I shouldn't comment on
Fair
that.
to say that she made oral
She gave a
statements to
statement. She gave a statement that led to charges.
Sheriff, why are you uncomfortable with the other two children going back to that residence?
I probably shouldn't answer that.
Are there other children in that home other than his siblings, like other cousins or Brenda's own children? Does she have her own children?
Tiffany is Brenda's child. Obviously, she will not be returning home, and I believe that is it. There is another male living in the house, but I believe he is not a relative.
The siblings were living there as well?
Yes.
When you say not if you can help it, anything legal underway to make sure they don't go back there today, or?
I don't believe I can comment on that. Sorry.
Do you expect additional arrests in this case?
We have leads to follow up, and we'll see where they take us.
Do you believe that Ms. Van Alstyne was the sole perpetrator of this crime?
I have nothing to indicate anything other than that.
What sort of a timeline are we talking about? How soon before the 911 call was Lieutenant killed?
I can't give you an exact time of death. It was a very small window, and it could have been less than 30 minutes.
Were the siblings witnesses?
I can't answer that. I do not know that answer.
They were in the residence?
They were in the residence, yes, sir.
How long had the children been living in the home? How long have they been the legal guardian?
I don't have an exact time frame on that. I know it has been over a year.
Could you talk about the physical condition of the other?
Let me just correct that. Legal guardian, I think, has only been since September.
Could you,
Is that right?
could you talk about the physical condition of the other two children? Are they healthy? Do they seem to be in good physical condition?
At this point, we're not even qualified to respond to that question. There are other, as we speak right now, there are investigations that are being, that have spurned and in process, and those investigations have yet to conclude. Therefore, it would be improper for me to arrive at a conclusion, because my remarks here would in fact be conclusory.
Do you feel the other two children were in some kind of imminent danger?
Well, our feeling is that whenever you have the result of a young person whose life has been taken prematurely from them, it doesn't. I'm going to refrain from responding to that question, but I think that that people can make natural conclusions based upon what has transpired in the last 24 hours.
Yeah, would it be accurate to say that investigators are examining the possibility of child endangerment charges in this case?
What I would say is that right now, we have a variety of different agencies, all of whom are committed to providing answers to the kind of questions that are being asked here today, but would be improper for me to respond to, given the fact that they're in the process of doing that right now. Our offices, I think, respectively, with respect to every agency here, there are multiple personnel representing each of our agencies off on different tracks as we speak, following up on other significant aspects of this case. Right now, we are here to talk about the charges that are before us, and we're still in the infancy stages of those other investigations.
You should now twice use the term investigations, plural. I know Sheriff Apple said he believed there was one perpetrator of this crime, which he believed to be a murder.
Well,
what are those other investigations into if the person behind the
Well,
murder?
there are questions here that have been asked about the living conditions, about the health and safety of the children moving forward. These are investigations that must be conducted by agencies aside from the law enforcement agencies. But when I use the term investigations, I mean both civil investigations as well as criminal investigations.
Sheriff, can you tell us a little bit about shortly after Kenneth was found, or when he was found by the K-9 unit, can you talk about the surrounding area where he was found, how far it was away from the trailer home? And also, we were a little bit late, so if you could share a little bit of your initial comments for us, we would appreciate it.
Kenneth White was located approximately 40 yards. I believe it would be in a southerly direction from the residence. There's evidence to indicate that he was taken across the road, traveled up the road, and then thrown over the guardrail and covered in snow.
Have the other children, I know they're small, have they indicated that they don't want to go back there?
I'm not aware of that. I did not personally speak with the kids.
Do you believe the kids were being adequately cared for there?
I'd rather not answer that.
Sheriff, have your deputies responded to that address in the past?
Yes.
Can you elaborate?
You aware of what the call types were?
There are a variety of different
Yeah, I can research it after and get back to you, but I
Do you know
don't
if
have.
arrests have taken place at that address?
I'm not aware of any. I'm not saying there weren't any.
Did Tiffany say why she lied?
Well,
We're not going to comment on any remarks that were made in the course of the investigation by the person alleged to have committed the crimes.
Call 911.
Tiffany called 911 and Brenda Van Alstyne called 911.
So is Tiffany, to be clear, is Tiffany a cousin?
Yes.
Okay, so they are.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. When's the last time we were called to the residence? When was the last time he was in school? I believe the day before. No, he was not in school yesterday, no.
Sheriff, you mentioned that both Brenda and Tiffany called 911. Did Tiffany wait until her mother got home until she called?
Tiffany called Brenda and relayed what happened as far as two men entering the house forcibly. Brenda indicated, call the police. Hung up the phone. She said, I'm 4 minutes away. Brenda also called 911. Tiffany called 911.
Anybody see anything? I mean, this is public but somewhat rural.
Yeah, we literally, just before walking in here, shut down a road check. We blocked out 10 to 2 to try to stop cars coming through to see if they had seen anybody walking on the side of the road or see anything out of the ordinary. It is a rural area, but it's also a state highway, and it is heavily traveled. I don't want to say heavily traveled as far as like, main thoroughfare, but there's a lot of cars that go up and down that road.
But no one has come to you on their own to say anything?
Not as of yet.
Sheriff, could you once again, what's the relationship between Tiffany, I know you mentioned this, so I apologize for that, but between Tiffany Van Alstyne, Brenda Van Alstyne, and the children?
Tiffany is Brenda Van Alstyne's daughter. Tiffany is the cousin to Kenneth and Cheyenne and Christine White.
So there's 3 children in the care of their aunt,
Brenda.
Brenda.
And
And
how
Brenda
old are those
has
children?
her child, Tiffany.
4 and 5.
Tiffany and the 3 children were cousins.
Van Alstyne?
One of the girls is a twin to Kenneth.
Is Cheyenne the twin?
Yes.
So she would have been 5.
Yes.
So this is her nephew, that you're alleging.
Yes.
She murdered her
Yes.
nephew.
That's what we're.
Her cousin.
Cousin. I'm sorry. Cousin.
Was she emotional during the interview?
I'd rather not get into it.
I'm not going to comment on that.
Can you spell
Showing
Van
remorse?
Alstyne?
VANALSTYNE.
Does she have any record?
No.
Was she was watching the children yesterday? That time she would often do? That doesn't show.
We believe she would often watch the children. Yes.
So this is not the first time that she was looking over Kenneth?
That's correct.
They're so young. Do they even understand what's happening?
I really don't know. We'll be doing some follow-up interviews with people that are probably more qualified than just cops to talk to them. So.
Aside from the apparent strangulation that you say Kenneth suffered, are there any other signs in his body that might point to previous cases of abuse?
Previous cases, I can't.
Or previous abuse?
His immediate cause of death was asphyxia due to strangulation, followed by blunt force trauma.
Sheriff, did Ms. Van Alstyne allegedly use a weapon in either the strangulation or a first trauma?
I can't answer that.
Did they have inflicted postmortem?
No.
The blunt force trauma, could that have been received on the toss over the guardrail?
I don't believe so.
Any weapons used that you're aware of? Anything else?
I can't answer that right now.
Has anything been recovered?
I can't answer that right now.
Talk about the difficulty that if there were two other young children there, they would presumably be witnesses to this horrific crime. Talk about the difficulty of having to move forward in a case in which you have very young children. I think you said their ages are also 5 and 8 or something?
4 and 5.
4 and 5. I mean, how is that going to be to move forward? I mean, it's got to be very difficult.
If I may respond, one of the benefits to being in Albany County is the fact that when you look around, you have a variety of different agencies, all of whom have access to unique resources. And while I'm not speaking specifically of this case, usually when you have children that young, there are experts that are attainable to us by representatives of law enforcement. FBI has a unique set of resources that they make available to local law enforcement, so that in fact we may be able to proceed along the lines of discussing and inquiring of very young children.
Sure. Can you talk a little bit about, you've had a lot of cases in the past where someone, makes a false claim or lies
Right.
about something. I know you answered a little bit of this, but what point was that moment where you realized this is not adding up? And this
You know,
woman, in your opinion, actually-
honestly, Rob, I don't even know at what point. Again, a normal course of action is to kind of run a parallel investigation, follow what is told to you, but also at the same point, think about worst case scenario and could something have happened at home. It's no secret that a lot of young child deaths usually have some sort of family relation. So, we had that in the back of our mind. So we're running 2 investigations. So, during the course of that, at what point, I don't know. But at some point, 1 and 1 is not equaling 2 here. So we need to fall back and kind of focus a little bit more in one direction.
Would it be accurate to say that there was some suspicion from the very beginning that she might have been the perpetrator?
It would be accurate to say that some investigators felt that way, yes.
Now, you mentioned that Tiffany would frequently watch the children. Was there any reason to believe that might not be the safest scenario, having her babysit the children, watch over them?
Prior,
Yeah.
we had no contact with her prior regarding children or anything to that effect. Obviously, once you start to conduct a thorough investigation, things come to the surface, and that's kind of where we're at.
Were
The
they in her
blunt
custody?
force trauma, was that to the head?
Can I answer that?
Yes.
Yes.
Guardian, do they have legal complete custody of these children?
Yes.
What would be, if you don't mind me asking, what would be the harm in mentioning if there was a weapon used or not, because of the blunt force?
Because we are about 24 hours removed from the case, and as we are speaking, we are still gathering evidence to support the very theory. There was a charge that was leveled this afternoon. We are 1,000% confident that that's the theory that we have at this point will fit the charges that she's been charged with. However, as more information is fleshed out of this investigation, we'll determine what, if any, other charges are going to be pursued. So at this point, it would be negligent of us to begin speculating here, because everything we say publicly here, we will then have to support.
The statement that she made after she was arrested, was it sort of a confession, or was it related to, can you?
I really can't speak about her statement, and I'd rather not. But obviously, we had more than enough evidence to go forward with a murder charge.
And this will go to a grand jury next?
Yes.
Could you clarify exactly where the other 2 children are? You may have done this a little bit earlier, but are they in county protective services custody? Will they be going to foster care?
I'm not sure where exactly they will be going, but yes, they are in CPS custody.
Any idea what time the
I don't have the exact time, but we have a window of what we're looking at, and it was right around that 12:45-ish to 1:15 timeframe.
So you had one, go ahead, right after she made the 911 call.
Prior to, yes, prior to.
12:45 PM, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So you said he eventually finally died from asphyxiation due to strangulation. Which came first?
I don't know. I can't answer that. It appears the immediate cause of death is listed as asphyxia due to strangulation, followed by blunt force trauma.
Sure. It is a kind of a difficult question, but do you know if the child was still alive when the defendant allegedly, as you said, put him into the snow?
I do not.
Could you give us a little bit more like physical description of the scene? Like you said, the child was found in a culvert. How far down from the road was the culvert? Give us a little bit.
There was
of idea
a,
what it looked like.
probably a 3-foot decline off the side of the roadway, a small embankment, and child was located 5 to 7 feet from the guardrail, again covered in snow.
So she made an effort to conceal the crime.
That's correct.
She's very intentionally killing the boy. Is there any indication whether she planned this ahead of time?
I can't answer that.
Was this a case that Child Protective Services was investigating? You know, you hear legal guardians are involved. Was this something that they were monitoring or looking into at all?
I can't answer that. I don't know.
Are there any circumstances under which children as young as the siblings, I mean, if this, a case like this goes to trial, do they testify on a stand, or is what they have to say conveyed in some other manner because of their age?
Because of their age, that would be determined based upon hearing in court, if it should ever proceed to that point. However, we believe that in this instance, we would be able to independently satisfy our burden without necessarily going to that extent. However, there are mechanisms in place in the criminal justice system to allow for that after a hearing.
And just to be clear, Tiffany was the only adult present at the time of the death?
That's correct.
Sheriff, would you be charged of second-degree murder? You mentioned intent. Why intent?
Based on the evidence that these agencies were able to provide, we believe that that's the theory that best fits what we now know occurred. And this was not a death that resulted from reckless behavior. It's not a death that resulted from negligent behavior. And we believe that there's evidence to support an intentional murder case.
And Sheriff, I just wanted to clarify again, where exactly did this happen? At the home, outside the home? I don't know if you clarified.
We believe it happened in the home, and then the body was removed from the house and taken up the street.
Sure, just to be clear, you may have mentioned, I apologize for the acceptance, but were the two other siblings in the actual room when this alleged act took place?
I don't believe they were in the room, no.
When the police got there, where did they find those two children?
I think at that point, when upon our arrival, they were mulling about the house with Tiffany. But at that point, obviously, Kenneth was not present.
You
How are they
mentioned
doing now?
I don't know. I mean, they're beautiful little girls. I don't know.
the 4-year-old's name is what? I think you mentioned it earlier.
Christine?
Christine, and Cheyenne was the twin.
Yes.
Were they telling you they saw her harm him?
No.
Sheriff, was there any reason that the Amber Alert wasn't canceled when you found it, or?
Yes. Yeah. Quite honestly, that was my call. I'll take responsibility for not advising it we held off for 90 minutes, primarily because we had an investigation to conduct, and I thought by canceling it, it was going to do exactly what happened when it got canceled, and that was draw way too much media attention to it, and we did not want that to hamper our investigation.
Sheriff, at the start of this press conference, you said this is a tough one. Can you talk about just your personal feelings about handling a case in which the victim, when you're saying of the murder too, is a 5-year-old boy?
What's going through my mind, are you saying? We try to get through this. It's heart-wrenching. It's It's absolutely heart-wrenching. I got 3 boys. I'm going to go home and hug them. I'm sure everybody that was involved in this is going to do the same. Certain cases stick with you your entire career, and this is one of those cases.
Can you talk about her state of mind or her mind frame at the time that she was interviewed initially by police? Tiffany?
I really don't know what her state of mind was when she was being interviewed.
But was she nervous? Was she,
I'd probably be inappropriate for me to comment on that.
Where were the immediate residents?
They had gone to the doctors early in the morning, the 3 kids, Brenda, Tiffany, and another male that was staying at the residence. They had gone to the doctors, they had left the doctors, they had, I believe, stopped at Price Chopper to fill a script, and had come home roughly 12:40-ish. They got in the driveway, Tiffany and the 3 kids got out of the car and went in the residence. Brenda and an 18-year-old male went to the school to drop off some gifts for, I believe, what was going to be a Christmas party. Yes.
So the appointment was the reason that they weren't in school that day?
That's correct.
So was there any drugs found at the scene?
No.
Anybody indicate to you if Tiffany was on any sort of medication for any mental condition?
I don't know for what condition, but I believe she does take some sort of medication.
But you don't anticipate not responsible by reason of, mental disease or defect being, you don't think this meets the criteria, though?
I'm not the district attorney, but I don't believe so.
Did she show any remorse at
there's-
all in her admissions?
There is nothing to prevent a defense attorney from putting forth every defense available to that attorney, and therefore, nothing would be out of the question at this point for possible defenses.
Sure, did she show any type of remorse in the admissions that she made?
Not that I witnessed.
Sheriff, by your timeline, it sounds like they dropped the kids off and whatever took place shortly thereafter. Is that fair?
Yeah. It was a very small window. Brenda drove to Burnox Westerlo, conducted whatever business she had to do there, came back, and again, when she got called from Tiffany, she indicated she was roughly 4 to 5 minutes away. So she was on her way back. So the window was small.
Sheriff, is it a true statement at this point, you simply don't know why Tiffany committed this act? Allegedly.
Well, let's first and foremost, these are allegations. This is the infancy stages of an investigation. As to motive, we're pretty secure in our presentation of this case. We are pretty secure that we understand what the motive was. However, we would be irresponsible if we were to disclose and put our case forth today.
So you know why, but you're not comfortable sharing?
We're not comfortable sharing certain aspects of the case because we don't want to litigate the case in court of public
To
opinion.
be clear, you believe she murdered this 5-year-old child?
I believe that we have a theory that's supported by evidence that we are pursuing this case against the defendant, who's entitled to the presumption of innocence at this point.
Presumably, your office is charging with second-degree murder. Obviously, you would be able to opinion that she's guilty of this, right?
We are steadfast in our opinion that we have enough evidence to secure a conviction, but at this moment, she enjoys the presumption of innocence.
what do you think caused the blunt force trauma to her head?
I can't answer that at this point. I won't answer it at this point.
I've had 14 objections already to this.
Is it not known, or is it something you just, for the investigation?
I'd rather not. I'm not comfortable speaking on that topic right now.
What was the physical condition of the house? Was it habitable? Was it, what was it like, what was it look like inside?
It would say it's a mobile home. Has a lot inside of it. And actually, once we're done with our forensic investigation that the state police are conducting right now, I will be reaching out for burn code enforcement before we turn that home over, and I want them to look at it.
Sheriff, are
Can you
you
explain?
Can I explain?
Yeah.
I'll I'll try to do this as politically correct as I can. I think there's several deficiencies in that trailer that put people's lives in jeopardy.
So in your estimation, you don't think those kids should have been living in those conditions?
You know,
I'm going to refrain from responding to that question. The only thing that we could, that I think the sheriff suggested is based upon his review of and physical observations of the house, that's something that he believes that the codes department should take a look at before that scene is turned over to the family and the children are allowed to return.
Questionable?
Was
Are
there
we talking
heat in the house?
like clutter or dirt or?
Hoarding?
no, I'm talking about, you know, wood stoves that I don't believe belong into the house, that I don't think are adequately venting or safe inside that residence. You know, space heaters that are 4 feet tall with a room that's about 95 degrees with clothing all around it. I just think it's an unsafe environment, in my opinion.
No structural issues.
I don't know. I don't know.
The 18-year-old didn't identify who is
I don't think there's a reason for me to identify him at this point. It does not appear. The relationship is that I believe Brenda had simply taken him into the residence. Not sure why.
The boyfriend?
No. No.
This is, I'm sorry, this is before or after the incident?
He's been staying at that residence.
So he was there during the time?
No, he was in the car with Brenda that went to BKW. It's confusing because there's, you know, and you get an 18 and 19 and
I don't think you said Kenneth went to BKW with Brenda. Where was he?
I didn't say Kenneth. Where was Kenneth at that point? Was he in the van as well?
At what point are we talking about?
When Brenda went to BKW. He was at the house.
He was at the house.
Oh, you're talking about the
The young victim?
the victim.
No, the legal guardian, Brenda and Kenneth.
Okay. Where was Kenneth?
11 o'clock, left the residence.
He left the residence at 11. He was not home.
So what was the time frame from the moment that she was left alone with Kenneth and the 911?
Roughly 12:40ish, 12:43 to like 1:10, 1:12, somewhere around there.
Okay, so half an hour max?
Yeah. And again, you know, we're only 24 hours into this, so we'll be able to sit down and do a little bit more of an in-depth time frame, you know, as time passes.
You know, the FBI here, you talked a little bit about what the different collaboration was, what the involvement of the
Yeah, I'll
of the federal
absolutely.
government was.
Absolutely. You know, we've always had a close working relationship with the state police. They have a great major crimes unit that comes, runs a lead desk. It allows us to, you know, better use our resources. And this is what they do. This is what they're trained to do. So we've always had a great rapport and relationship with them. So they came right out and received a call from FBI Albany telling us that they have a child abduction response. What's the last letter? Deployment. And he's another trained professional in child abductions. He came, and Special Agent Vale followed with probably another 4, 5, 6 guys, and offered whatever assistance they could. So, I mean, that's a relationship that you want to see. I mean, it's great to see agencies collaborating because, honestly, we could not do it on our own. There were way too many leads coming in, way too many tips, and we wanted, again, to be as efficient and as fast following up these leads to try to get Kenneth home safely. So I'm very appreciative for all the agencies. U.S. Marshals also came out to help.
So then other than the initial belief that there may have been a kidnapping, the FBI is no longer involved in the case. It's a state crime.
They're helping us do some interviews.
Okay.
Mhm.
Was there, you mentioned murder too, was there a possibility of first degree murder in this case? Or, you know, or not?
The charges that are currently been lodged are the charges that we believe best and most adequately address the circumstances is that the evidence has provided to us. So until further notice, until we have more information, believe this is how we are going to proceed.
Who represented her in her range?
I believe it was the public defender that stood in at the arraignment.
Did she get any weapon charges?
The charges that she is currently facing are the charges that she's been charged and arraigned on today.
Who was the other legal guardian, Brenda's husband?
That I do not know, sir.
will your office be releasing a mugshot?
Yes, I can give that to you today.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Again, thank you all. There's just some answers that we can't give out at this point, but thank you all for your patience.
Next court date, we don't know, would that be an indictment, possible indictment? Next court date, or will it be a felony hearing?
I don't believe that there will be a preliminary.
You think they'll waive it?
I
If
don't
she's in
know.
custody, there has to be within a certain amount of time.
Yeah, she certainly has a right to a preliminary hearing within 120 hours